Nope, not anymore.
I see that. I see the little light bulb.
Okay. Hi, everyone.
Oh.
Wait, you're ruining my intro, man.
Go. Do it, Tom.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Undersampled Radio, episode 21. We are doing some weird technology things today to limit my lack of experience in the podcasting domain. One of the things we're doing is now we are on YouTube Live, which is sort of a consequence of Google Hangouts On Air merging with YouTube Live. They're now one and the same. I don't think that changes anything for anybody else that's watching this, especially because there's no one watching this, but also because they seem to have combined the products in a way that all of the functionality from a UI standpoint is the same on the on the viewer end, not the participant end. The other thing that we're doing is that, surprise, I'm not recording this.
Okay.
Yeah?
How's that going to work?
Okay, so here's my plan. Here's my plan. Number one, if you're hearing this right now, it means that my plan worked.
If you're not hearing this, please write in.
That's right. If you're not hearing this, you'll hear us next week with another episode of Undersampled Radio, episode 20. Well, I suppose we could do 21 again.
What are you going to do? Are you going to mail people cassette tapes? Is that the plan?
Well, how about a transcript? We could, rather than tapes, we could write it all down by hand and
actors.
I was going to say we could have someone draw out, since we're on video too, we could draw out the, it's sort of like a courtroom where you're not allowed to take in a video camera.
Right.
What's the name? What's the name for those guys, by the way? Courtroom sketch artist? No, that's not a stenographer.
Right. Courtroom sketch artist sounds about right. They always draw in the same way. It seems.
I know.
Unless I only ever see drawings by one courtroom sketch artist. The cases that I've been involved in. No, but they always seem to look the same. It's weird. Why is that?
There must be some school that you go to for something to learn how to.
Right. You get your pencils.
So, what was the other thing? Oh, we were talking about I'm not recording this.
What?
Yeah. Oh, you're still on that? We didn't. Oh, we haven't talked about this yet. It's early November.
Oh, I see.
I see. You said, go ahead, Tom, with the introduction. That's why you were ruining my introduction? Okay. Hey, we're not recording this. I haven't finished yet.
Okay. Right.
So, Windows, as you know, was interrupting my process or whatever, and it kept screwing up with the Audacity recording software, which is what we use for doing this because it's free and I'm a cheap dude. In hopes that I will actually stay online this entire time and you won't have to give another big long soliloquy, which were awesome, by the way, and people love them. We'll record the audio off of the YouTube recording. So in case anyone listens to the podcast and the audio sounds noticeably worse, let us know. We'll figure something else out. However, I have spliced together some audio with YouTube during editing in the past, and it seems to work out okay, so we'll see how it goes. Also, Matt is at a metal table today, and his microphone is, should I tell them?
Okay, well, I have to show people now then.
Yeah, okay.
I've also acoustically isolated my teacup by placing it on a very heavy wooden block.
Why is that on my desk? Okay.
My microphone is... what do you call that? Basically suspended, supported by two fake succulents. They're not cactuses, as I said earlier. They are succulents.
This is no joke. This is no joke. If you're listening to the podcast, you can't see, but there are basically two cacti holding up Matt's microphone, and it's hysterical. So watch the video. Also, you can see what we're talking about with Tom Selleck. Let's talk about football. What do you when I mention the word football? What do you think of?
Well, you already know the answer to that question. That's not. I did look up the provenance of the word soccer recently because I was curious about it. I had a suspicion that it might be one of those quote unquote Americanisms that isn't actually an Americanism, but came from British English, and indeed it is one of those. It's basically an analogous word to rugger, which is a thoroughly British word, or English word probably. I don't think they use the word rugger in Wales even. Certainly not in Scotland. And it was to discriminate between, or distinguish between association football and rugby football when rugby came along in the late 19th century. So it's actually a sort of, it's come from the word association. So I guess it sounds better than ass football or something like that. And we ended up with soccer. Something like that. Yeah.
It's fascinating. How often do you look up the etymological definitions of words? Or meaning, or pathways, or
I'm interested in words as much
derivatives.
As the next person.
Word derivatives.
Yeah, etymology, not entomology.
Etymology.
Yeah, but so that's that's what I think of as football. But you were writing some nonsense gobbledygook about American football in the show notes that I just ignored because it's.
Is it because? Did you also ignore it because I encouraged people to use the hashtag Matt Hall loves American football because it's way better than soccer? Or
it's technically not better than soccer. I mean, look at. It's sort of just farcical to even try and make that claim. Look at the adoption of soccer around the world. Look at how crazy people go for it. And I try and watch a game. I mean, just to objectively get some person who's not particularly interested in sport and show them a game of American football and then show them a game of soccer.
And what will they say?
It's just no contest.
I mean, if they're British, maybe there's no contest.
American football is profoundly dull.
Do you know
don't even get me started on baseball.
A soccer game on a large screen down here in the south of America.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same thing. People would fall
asleep.
asleep.
No, really? I mean, there's no time for commercials, right?
That's amazing.
You can't show commercials. That's why it's not on TV much in the States, because you can't show commercials during the game. Because there's no time, because stuff's happening. There's tons of time for commercials in ice hockey.
Ice hockey? You have something against hockey, too?
Yes.
Oh,
and baseball. You got all the time in the world for ads because nothing happens. Anyway, the costumes are ridiculous. I mean, they just are. Watch a game of rugby if you want to see how real men play, rough and tumble. And
rugby is awesome. Hey, did you ever hear that Irish football or something like this, where they combine the rules of, not Irish football, international rules rugby or something like that, where they combine the rules of soccer and rugby or something, and there's punching allowed? I'm probably making this up. I'm going to put
this might be Australian rule. That sounds a little bit like Australian rules football, which is mental. It's sort of, it has some volleyball-like moves in it where you whack the ball with your hand, and you can. I don't really know. And the umpires dressed like cheesemongers.
We'll put a link in the show notes where you can sign up to join an Australian football league or something. But anyway, the reason that I have football in the show notes is because the only news that I could come up with is that football, the real kind, is going to be on Twitter. You can watch it, which is kind of cool.
But what does that mean?
I don't know. It's only Thursday night games, apparently. And there's a page. It's linked in the show notes. You can go there. It directs you to some accounts and some live streaming video of, I suppose, what's going to be Thursday Night Football with many more ads, I gather.
Well, that is curious.
Quite curious.
Yeah, the end of Twitter. No, I don't subscribe to that sort of thing. I mean, interesting. That's an interesting use case for Twitter, I guess. You can see there
Well,
must be.
if you don't like it, you can go bootstrap some footage of a soccer game onto Twitter.
Apparently they were deleting people's accounts for posting clips from the Olympics.
That's terrorism. I mean, it's essentially.
That's terrorism?
No. They also delete accounts for for posting terrorism.
Oh, I see.
Terrorism-like comments.
Yeah. But they don't delete accounts for kind of crazy levels of personal abuse, right?
Oh, that's true. But there is now a site that explicitly allows hate mongering and white supremacy. What's the name? Did you hear about this? It was in the tech news. This probably deserved to go in the news section of our notes. It's called, oh man, I can't look.
I don't think I want to know the name of it, but
no, probably not. But it's it's pointed at the alt-right,
goodness,
white supremacist movement or whatever.
Yeah, well.
But anyway, what's the guy from Breitbart who was banned from Twitter for life?
Milo something.
Yeah. So anyway, it's his now platform of choice for spamming and trolling people, I suppose.
Okay.
So
well, I think it's nice that he has a place where he can go and do that. That doesn't bother normal people.
That's right. So if you want to go get trolled and yell about alt-right topics, we're not going to put a show note in there about it. So go find it yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. So hey, look at this. I got 5 copies of a book in the mail the other day. It's called 52 Things You Should Know About Rock Physics. You see that?
Is it good?
You might even see there that it's edited by Matt and Evan. I haven't read it yet.
Okay, fine.
But I'm excited to.
It looks good though, hey? I was really pleased with how it turned out.
It looks very good. The other 2... So it turns out that Matt's actually got 3 other books out, and I didn't know that, and you might want to know this, Matt, because when you go look up one of these books, at least when you look up one of the 3 that I'm about to mention, you don't find the 3rd linked in Amazon, at least
right.
Just straight easily up front. So geology is one, 52 things you should know about geology. 52 things you should know about geophysics. If you click on either of those, you get links to the 3. But I just found out today that there's also paleontology, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Okay. So I read geology and geophysics. Awesome. Hilarious. Cool. And I look forward to rock physics. Anything you want to say about it? Go buy it, other than go buy it.
go buy it. Yeah, I mean, it's in Amazon stores all over the world now. If you ever should want more than a handful of them, well, we are actually selling some sort of combo packs on the website on agilegeoscience.com. I think we offer free shipping on there, but how exactly it plays into whatever deal Amazon happened to have going at the time, I'm not sure. So it may or may not save you money. Probably does save you money if you're not in the US. So yeah, look on the website in the store, I think, or the shop, whatever it says for that. Yeah, it's always just a relief to get these things out the door. We are donating $2 per sale to Geoscientists Without Borders, so I will just mention that. Geoscientists Without Borders are the SEG sort of charity that does humanitarian geoscience work, or funds humanitarian geoscience work around the world for finding water and dealing with natural hazards and that kind of thing. So there's a good cause in there too. And yeah, there's 46 authors, I think. Probably someone you know has written in the book. The other one that you mentioned, paleontology, Evan and I did not edit, although I did do the compiling of the book, I guess. It was actually edited by Alad Martinius and Alex Cullum, both at Statoil. And so it's ostensibly about paleontology, but it does have a pretty heavy kind of industry angle. So there's quite a bit of palynology in there. There's quite a bit of sort of stuff about, dating and chronostratigraphy and sort of petroleum applications. But I'd say that's probably only a dozen or so of the essays. The rest of them are about, dinosaurs and all sorts of other things. And like all the other books, we try and mix technical stuff with sort of cultural, lighthearted pub stories, as I call them.
That's actually what I was going to mention, is that hopefully some people are reading this book that don't know one of the 52 or however many authors there are, because they're accessible from an outsider's standpoint. There are many, I'll say most of the articles in there are fun reads that you don't have to be an expert or even a scientist or anything to have fun with. So
it's definitively not like the 52 things you need to know. It's more like 52 random things that you might want to know.
Which order did the books come in?
Geophysics, geology, paleontology, rock physics, and the next one's probably going to be another paleontology, because Alex is unstoppable basically, and it's a huge field, obviously. That book does not do all that well, though. Like, it's the smallest seller out of the four. Geophysics is the biggest seller by far. Probably related to just like who we are and how we promote the books and stuff. But there's also one quite controversial essay in the paleontology book which seems to put some people off. I always think that's kind of funny when scientists are like, "No, I will not read that. That opinion is." Like that. Not only do I disagree with that opinion, but if you bring that opinion close to me, I will explode. I just sort of think.
What's the topic?
It's about dinosaurs, and it's about the origin of dinosaurs and what their relationship is to modern birds.
Well, and if the opinion was that the dinosaurs were created in 7 days, I could see how most scientists would have a problem with that.
Yeah, no, that's not.
That's not it.
The opinion expressed. It's much more sort of technical and involved. And I won't pretend to know the details of it, but it's basically an argument about how close that relates, whether modern birds are directly descended from dinosaurs or not, and the sort of consensus is that they are, but not everybody subscribes to that, and I think that's quite interesting, and that's why we actually left it in the book, because we were unsure about putting it in there because we knew it was a bit of a marginal opinion. But hey, that's life, man, and that's science. And let's face it. I mean, saying anything definitive about the Cretaceous just seems to me really kind of maybe a bridge too far. Like, that's
arm wavy, maybe.
Well, just verging on hubris, I would say. Right? It's verging on like a level of certainty that I'm not sure it's fair to say that we have about geology in general. It's one of the problems it has as a science, right? It's really hard to prove stuff.
It's a long time ago, that Cretaceous. Hey, did I mention to you? This is kind of a good place to talk about this. Did I mention last week or whenever it was we recorded the book that I had just finished about the origins of life? No, it's your face is telling me I didn't mention anything. Okay, so I just finished a book called The Vital Question by Nick Lane, Dr. Nick Lane. It's fascinating. He is a bioenergeticist and a biomolecular, maybe not biomolecular engineer, but a molecular biologist for sure. He has fresh viewpoints on the origin of life and the evolution of why both prokaryotic and eukaryotic life exist as they do on Earth, and it'll wake you up. It's fascinating. So get it, and we can talk about it some more after you've read it, because anybody listening, Get the book immediately. It really is awesome.
I like books like that sort of challenge and provoke a bit, right? That don't just sort of. I mean, because I think fundamentally scientists have a hard time admitting that there are massive holes in what we know and understand about the universe, and I feel like some people are really uncomfortable with the idea that things like dark energy and dark matter and the Big Bang and the origins of life and the role that and what DNA is and how it encodes for things are still quite unknown to us. You know, I feel like we very quickly get to a point where you explain things by saying, "Oh, Big Bang." I mean, the Big Bang sounds totally impossible, and I feel like we just sort of push a lot of the things we don't understand. They get pushed into that singularity, and we're like, "Oh, okay, we've dealt with that." There's just this measly 1,000th of a second that we don't understand now, but it's like we profoundly don't understand it. You know, it's like, and these sort of things at the edge that are actually massive things, the explanation of which might be incompatible with whole chunks of the rest of science. Like, that's the discomfort we have. I don't know that. I mean, I'm a layman when it comes to cosmology and stuff, but I mean, that's my feeling. Is it's just like it's a thing that feels like an explanation when you're talking to a layman, but actually physicists or biologists know amongst themselves, we have no idea how that happens. That's why when we do things like sequence the human genome, we can't just magically create a human out of nothing. We can't just put one together, and we can't just immediately cure all cancers, because it turns out there's a whole bunch of nonlinearities in there that we don't really get.
That's true. I believe the term you're looking for, to bring it back around to baseball, is bunt. Scientists go for a bunt, and they put all that information back into the Big Bang time, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to try to. My new goal is to work as many sports that you don't like references into this. Interview? What are we doing? Hey, what's next on the list?
We're just talking.
Leading edge. Wait, what's D-Day at COP?
Oh man.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Today is the day that they're letting people go. I don't know if this is a global thing at ConocoPhillips or just ConocoPhillips Canada, but they announced to staff a week or two ago that it would be today, and I'm not sure if that is still going on, but two of my very good friends at ConocoPhillips Canada have been let go. So, you know, the nonsense continues, basically. And I mean, and we're talking about people at this point who have survived 2 layoffs in the company already. And, you know, and in the case of these 2 individuals, are awesome, you know, creative, imaginative, capable, like energetic geoscientists who get it, kind of thing. And it's almost like whatever happens at this point, it's not going to be good. There's no fat to trim, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So it's just brutal. So I mean, I spent a bit of time earlier on Slack chatting to these guys, and it's just really sad, basically. And it's like, it's not even like you can say, oh well, you know, things will pick up or anything like that. It's just the situation in Calgary, I think, is pretty brutal, and there are thousands and thousands of people, geoscientists, I mean, just in our field, out of work. And I honestly think your best bet at this point is to run away. Like, don't go through 6 months of thinking, oh, I'll find something, and then kind of give up and go, oh, I guess I've got to go and do something I didn't really want to do. It's like, no, screw it, like, do it now. Just leave, go find something else to do and be awesome at.
Which reminds me of your rebranding of Agile. What's that about?
Right. Yeah.
Is that driven by the same motivation?
Yeah, it is really. Yeah. and I think data science and analytics and I think that's a great place for a lot of geophysicists anyway to go. Like there's work there.
Yeah.
There just is. And if you're doing geophysics, you already can do a bunch of it. Like you already at least have a numerical foundation and probably also already understand a lot of things about machine learning and statistical models and things. So, it's just gross.
Well, lots of people are getting on the big data train these days. I would suggest that if this is coming from a point of view of someone who's spent a long time focused on one little tiny subject area, which is geophysics. But I think it would be advantageous to start working on a specific type of problem, right? I think a lot of those, and I could be wrong, but I think a lot of those sort of generalized big data, data science-y, the data science manager type of positions where you're looking at general ideas and statistical frameworks and things have been gobbled up. Do you find that that's the case?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's still kind of early days actually for that field. I mean, I don't know. My perception is that there's a lot of extremely smart people in that field. Like, if you watch some data science kind of talks and presentations and things on YouTube, these people have PhDs in mathematics and graph theory and probability theory and scientific computing. There's a whole class of problems and stuff and jobs that, quote unquote, ordinary technical people will never get to. But those people are creating a huge amount of opportunity for everybody else, and it's sort of almost growing exponentially because they're creating tools, insights, approaches, and they're going off and starting data science groups at big companies, starting new businesses. I mean, I think we're still in that inflationary period, actually. And I mean, it's tempting to say, oh, well, there's tons of opportunity in oil and gas in data science too, but I don't know if that counts as real opportunity. Like, it's, I think it's going to be years before those companies sort of wake up again after this. So I don't know what everyone else in the universe is seeing, but I know that I'm seeing frozen Tom Selleck with his, he's got his eyes closed, so he might just be asleep. But I think I'm just going to carry on like I normally do at this point in the show and hope that Graham resurfaces, because I think I'm still live. It's either that or I'm the one that's frozen and I'm just stuck in my own little bubble. But I don't know what else to do in order to cope. First, I'm going to turn my bandwidth down and hope that things come back to life. So I'm just going to look at my show notes. I did want to talk briefly about the next leading edge tutorial, which we've just got in. This is the deadline right now for the October issue is today, so we just got the proof all done, and it's looking really good. It's another fairly long one. It's like 4 pages. It's on machine learning, and it's a lithology prediction exercise. Things are happening on my screen, so maybe Graham's going to resurface in a second. And I think it's going to be, I don't want to give too much away, but there is going to be a sort of audience participation element to this tutorial. So there's going to be a way for people to get involved and do some stuff on their own and hopefully contribute back, and we can all kind of learn from each other. That's the goal with this one. So I'm pretty excited about it. It'll be out in 2 weeks, the 1st of October, so you can check it out then. I should mention that the article's been written by Brendan Hall of Nthor, and it looks like Graham's coming back. So I'm really excited to be collaborating with Enthought on this one, and yeah, it's going to be one of our more interesting ones to date. I think people are really going to get a lot out of it. Graham, did you resurface?
I'm here. Okay, so I've crashed again.
Oh my goodness.
So the problem seems to be something with Google Hangouts, not with Audacity. I'm mystified. I thought I had determined the cause of this thing. Apparently, I just completely wrong. Every time this has happened before, I've only dropped out of the call once. So hopefully we can record the rest of this thing. And you may be able to tell that I'm actually getting much faster at restarting my computer and getting back on.
That's true.
It's shorter every time. So I'm not sure. So folks listening, and it turns out there is actually at least one person listening, as you may have noticed on Slack. We may go back to the old format. I don't know. I'm baffled. But anyway, so you did Enthought. What were you talking about?
I was just talking about the next tutorial in the
bullet.
leading edge in the October issue is going to be really awesome.
Man, I wanted to hear about that. I missed the whole thing. Are you halfway through? Okay, well, I'll have to wait for leading edge.
Talking about that. But not unrelated news. The blog post I did this morning incorporates a notebook, or points to a notebook for the kind of meat of it, and I put the notebook on Binder. Have you played with Binder yet?
Nope.
So mybinder.org is pretty cool. I can't quite understand how or why they're doing this, but it's free to use. So basically, you point it at a repo with a notebook in it, or multiple notebooks, and they spin it up in a container on a virtual machine for you, and away you go. And other people then, when they sort of check it out, get a new machine and get another version of your notebook and can run it
right there in the browser
and edit it and do whatever they want. It still lets you save and stuff. I guess that's just because it's just a regular notebook, but presumably as soon as you check out the session, it's dust. But really cool, because it means instead of just reading through notebooks, people can actually kind of run through them and change them and see what happens, that kind of thing. And I think if I had bothered to put some interactive widgets in there, they would even be able to, widget away on the sliders and things and see things, have some interactive graphics and so on. So I'll definitely do that next time. And I think we'll be exploiting that too for the tutorials, because I think there is some overhead, right, in saying to people, oh great, here's an IPython notebook or a Jupyter notebook. Go install Anaconda and learn a whole bunch of stuff before you can run this.
Yeah, that's a really cool idea. So I'm on the site right now, and it's awesome. I do a lot of the bunting of putting stuff up on GitHub, which has dependencies and things that you've got to at least have and maybe not completely understand. But it would be really neat to have the capability just to play with a couple of, as you say, widgets, sliders, interactive visualizations right there in the browser. There is I know you're going to hate me saying this, but so Mathematica. Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So Mathematica has a new thing out. Just let me finish. Has a new thing out that they have online interactive sessions that you can send to either people with Mathematica licenses to do work, or people without Mathematica licenses to do viewing and manipulation, just like this binding thing. Now, Matt, I'm sure, doesn't like Mathematica because it's expensive and it's not open. This is a really cool response, maybe, to that interactive in the browser code, maybe not coding, but algorithm playing with stuff. Yeah. This is awesome. I'm going to put some stuff up on here.
It seems really cool, and it's just running on your GitHub repo. So I think you can add data blobs in there. There's a little configuration file for the container, so that basically you can define a Conda environment So you just sort of say which libraries you want for Conda or pip to install. It seems to work really nicely. So I'm definitely going to be doing more of that. It wasn't too bad to set up, and I actually thinking I'll try and spin up my own. They give the instructions somewhere on mindbinder.org to set up your own binder server, so you don't have to kind of rely on that free stuff. I might do that just for giggles as well.
Cool. There's a link in the notes to the site. It is mybinder.org. Check it out and check out the next TLE tutorial that I eagerly await because I know nothing about until I go watch this video.
Hey. What about you? Tell me about your predictive painting, because it looks like you've been having a lot of fun with that.
Oh, yes, I've been having a ton of fun with this. Okay, so Madagascar, I'm sure some of you use Madagascar. If not, you should. It's an open source seismic processing package that is maybe not better, but similar to and somewhat more robust than Seismic Unix. Now, don't get me wrong. I still use Seismic Unix. It's awesome, and that's how I started doing development and seismic processing things. But Sergei Fomel, who created Madagascar in the first place, came up with an algorithm called predictive painting. It just so happens that I have a predictive painting. It's a scientific article right here, written by Fomel himself, and it's really cool. So the algorithm goes like this. Well, I guess motivation works better first. So the idea is that he wanted to create an algorithm which would be able to pick along seismic events automatically without human interpretation. So there's an algorithm which automatically does dip picking of seismic sections, 2D sections, and 3D volumes, and it uses those predicted dip volumes or sections to spread what are also automatically picked horizons or automatically picked events across the seismic volume, and in paint or interpolate basically some property across the seismic volume. Now, why would you want to do that? So you could use a derivative attribute that's in the middle of this workflow called relative age to generate something which resembles a stratigraphic aging section or something like this. Or what I want to do, and the reason that I found out about predictive painting in the first place, is to build a low frequency model. So my idea, actually not my idea, but my stolen idea, is to use his idea to, and this is another article by him and one of his students, to paint or interpolate well log measurements across a seismic volume, thus interpolating in a geological sense, not just in some sort of mathematically defined radial basis function, shall I say, sense. So that's pretty cool, man. You can take a point location in a plan view sense, which is a well location, that is essentially a 1D data record. You have measurements of whatever, density, velocity, going down the well log. And if you've got a couple of these things, you can paint in interpolated well log quantities across something that's sort of like geology, which is seismic data. So I'm doing this because I want to build a more accurate low frequency model for an inversion I'm doing for a client. And it is so much fun. So as Matt pointed out to me, so all of Fomel's work almost is open and is available on several different sites. You can find them all through the Madagascar site. But all of the code is open. Almost all of the workflows, like the Madagascar uses S-construct. I don't know if you play with this yet. So all the scripts for doing the workflows are open. And then a couple of the data sets he uses are open. So you can go in there literally with no experience. Even if you don't know what you're doing and have never played with Madagascar before, in an hour, you can run his, not the 3D stuff, but the 2D predictive painting. And you should, because you come up with so much cool stuff along the way. Predicted dip volume or sections, the relative age stuff, and then your actual painted image. So it's very cool. My stuff is up on GitHub. It's in progress and it's totally incomplete. And but there's links on the README on the main page to all the articles. You have to have just SEG access to geophysics for those articles. But it's cool. And then I have another link in my repo to a synthetic data set that I built 3D. It's like a pyramid looking type of thing. So you can play with that too if you want.
Cool.
Yeah. So you may have heard, I'm sure you've heard if you're in the sort of seismic inversion biz, about the new thing that everyone's doing where they're doing multi-attribute analysis inversion type of stuff, where they're incorporating a bunch of measurements, stuff from all over the place, mainly petrophysics, well logs, and doing the same type of thing. They're sort of dispersing this information laterally in a geologic sense, in a structural sense, stratigraphic sense. That's a hard thing to do. Many of the methods that I've seen done are using either Matt's favorite, machine learning, or some sort of multi-attribute statistical quantitative process. But they're all custom in my experience. The one that I have the most experience with is a buddy of mine, Mark Miyoka, has a company called Teradata Geoscience. It's TDGeo. There's a link in the notes. And they do awesome work. And they've done something that is one of these multi-attribute petrophysical inversion things. It is, he calls it himself, he calls it a microscope looking at seismic data. So if you have a reservoir of interest, that's the type of scale, a single reservoir that he's looking at with his process. And that's because they have to involve petrophysicists on staff and geophysicists and do processing on seismic data, all this stuff. It takes a ton of different people to do this one little tiny piece of your seismic data. It's really nice. It turns out great. It's expensive. But if you don't want to shell out all that cash and all that time for all these people to work on the data, start playing with predictive painting. I think it's a really, and again, I'm not finished yet, but I think there's going to be a really cool result. And whether it's cool or not, it's going to be up on my GitHub, so you can check it out eventually. When it'll probably be a month until I finish. So that's predictive painting. I'm having a ton of fun with it, and I'm producing some pretty pictures, which I'm putting on Twitter, as you probably saw.
So in your repo, it's Madagascar scones files, is it, and that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Or are you writing some Julia magic into here as well?
I will be I have written a bunch of custom stuff that goes along with this. So all of the predictive painting stuff, all of the low frequency model building stuff is based on Sergey's stuff. So it's all based on Madagascar's formats and all this stuff. I wrote a big repo that's separate from this one, but is linked, wherein I created a seismic, so high frequency inversion algorithm, but that's all written in Julia. It's all up there. It's all, I mean, Julia's so awesome, so much awesomer than Python that you can just go in there and just read through it. And it's really simple. It handles, not very cleverly, because I'm not all that clever about data, but it sort of naively handles big data sets in a quick way. So if it's up there, if you want it, it's free. And it runs on commercial sized data sets. And again, it's only high frequency right now. So the next month's worth of work is going to be integrating the two frameworks. The Madagascar stuff for low frequency and my stuff for high frequency. And hoping I don't blow something up in the process.
Not something important anyway. It's okay, small things blow up.
Yeah, well, actually, no, I guess I misspoke. I want something to blow up because then I'll learn more when I have to fix it.
Yeah, I hope that Windows machine is the first thing to.
You know, the worst part is that it's the newest machine that I own, so that's kind of annoying. But okay, so back to this. I guess one solution is for me to switch totally over to Linux. I could, if I'm going to continue sort of in a modified setting of what we're doing today, I could probably do it all in Linux. So one thing I need, listeners, is not a video recording software, but an audio only recording open source software that will record the audio straight digitally from the computer, the output of the computer. Something similar to Stereo Mix in Windows. Yeah.
So what you're saying, that piece of software is the only reason that you have Windows machine?
No, okay. I'm not. But but now that we have this fancy YouTube Live thing and we've improved our maybe not quality, but our limited technological prowess in the podcasting domain, I think now I could potentially do this all with a stable operating system.
Yeah.
Not stable. I mean, Linux, man, it's still crazy. It just, you got to pick your battles.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah. I remarked the other day on Slack that I had 102 tabs open in Chrome. So I'm not proud of. And I said facetiously that one of them, I thought at least one of those tabs had been there since 2006. And someone was like, I don't know how you can keep a computer going that long, because I'm constantly having to restart or whatever on Windows. And I'm just like, I don't know. But when I think about my Linux servers on AWS, I mean, those things are up for months.
Yes.
My Mac desktop is like, it goes months without anything, any interference whatsoever. You just completely forget that it's even there. I don't turn it off at weekends or anything like that.
So Microsoft, if you're listening in, we're looking for a sponsorship. I feel like we're trash talking Windows every time. Can we talk about Python 3.6 already, or what?
So yeah, it's apparently Python 3.6. I think is scheduled for release. I'm not actually sure. I checked it a couple of weeks back, and I can't remember now if it was like October, maybe. Anyway, but you can try it out now with Conda. So I've put the command for making a Conda environment with Python 3.6 pre-release, it's called. So obviously it's not actually released yet. In the show notes. And the only thing I know that's new in there, because Python 3 had a lot of kind of new stuff, mostly around kind of doing a lot of things lazily so that you don't create giant things in memory all the time, and instead it sort of does more things on the fly with generators and so on. So the big thing that I've read about so far in Python 3.6 is that dictionaries are ordered. So they've optimized dictionaries, but in doing so, one of the steps that they took to optimize them also preserved the insertion order in dictionaries, which has all sorts of other.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, because occasionally you want dictionaries to be in order.
Every time I use that, pretty much.
Sorry?
Pretty much every time I use them, it really annoyed me in the past having unordered dictionaries.
Right. So there's this thing floating around, I think, in collections called ordered dict that you can use in earlier versions of Python. But it's kind of a hassle to sort of remember whether this one's an ordered dict or not. And the one major side effect is that it means that keyword args, the quargs object inside a function, will also be will have this order, just sort of automatically inherited from the dictionary object. So anyways, that's kind of cool. That's all I know so far. There's probably other cool stuff as well.
Yeah, cool. I'm excited. Not that I use Python or anything, but
no, clearly. You're excited for the rest of us. Thank you.
Yes,
that's very sweet of you.
All right, we're getting out of here. See ya.
Yeah, we probably should. Thanks for the chat. It was fun.
Yeah, it was. We'll be back sometime next week or something like that. Then we're off again for a couple weeks, but we're around. We have a couple of cool guests lined up, sort of lined up but not scheduled.
Yeah.
Primed but not ready. So keep an ear out. It's going to be the next like month and a half's worth of recording sessions are going to be pretty awesome. So see you in a little bit.
Okay, mate. Take care.